Welcome to the instruction video for your assignment on digitizing hurricane damage. For this assignment, you will digitize buildings in the town of Fort Myers, Florida. In fall of 2022, Hurricane Ian devastated this area, and after the hurricane, NOAA flew aerial imagery that they made publicly available. We will use this aerial imagery to attribute our digitized buildings with information regarding how damaged they were after the hurricane. I first used this assignment for the fall 2022 GIS I class. I have updated this assignment to better fit our class and the skills that we've learned so far, but there will be a few moments in this video that reference the 2022 assignment. If you get confused, just refer to the 7.3 instruction document for digitizing hurricane damage. Step 1 in this assignment is to create a geodatabase. To do this, I want you to create a folder in your week 7 folder that says Geodatabase _ your first name. For the purposes of this assignment, I have a week 7 folder on my desktop, and I already created my empty file folder that says Geodatabase _ faith. Next, we are going to connect to that folder in our ArcPro project. To do this, go to the Insert tab and click Add Folder. Then navigate to where you have that folder saved on your desktop or in your Documents folder. I'm navigating to the wrong place because I just saved it on my desktop. Okay, I connected to that folder, and now we are going to view that folder in the catalog pane, and we are going to add a geodatabase to it. In the catalog pane, expand the folder option, and you should see that you are connected to your folder that you named Geodatabase _ your name. If you expand that folder, you will see that it is empty. This is where we are going to create our first geodatabase. Right-click on this folder and select New, and then select File Geodatabase. This usually takes a few minutes to load, or sometimes it happens very quickly. So name this file geodatabase with the same naming structure as your folder. Geodatabase _ your name. Now I will show you in your folder for this project. So mine was on my desktop, week 7. Inside this week 7 folder, I had my geodatabase _ faith. If I click into it, we now see a folder that was just created that has the .gdb extension. This is going to be our geodatabase that we will add a feature class to. This is also what you will zip and upload to Blackboard for your assignment deliverable. You can either zip the folder with the .gdb extension, or you can zip the folder that you have the geodatabase nested inside of. You do that by right-clicking and click Send to Compressed Zipped Folder. The next step is to create a Polygon feature class. This is the layer that we will use to digitize buildings. In your newly created geodatabase, right-click on the geodatabase and select New Feature Class. We are using this feature class to practice digitizing buildings, so give the feature class an appropriate name. Make sure that your feature class type is set to Polygon, and you can uncheck Z values as we will not be displaying this data in a 3D map. Click Next and reference the assignment document to see the 3 fields that you should add to this layer. I have finished adding my 3 fields to this layer. Your area field is going to be used in one of the last steps of this assignment where we calculate the geometry of the shapes we've drawn. So that field is going to tell us the size of the building. So I gave this field an alias of building size. For all of these fields, we want to allow null values that will prevent us having any frustration as we are digitizing these buildings. Keep the spatial reference that is already set in the Create Feature Class pane and click Finish. Next, we are going to add coded domain values to our type and damage field. To do this, you need to have your catalog pane open, hover over and then right-click on your layer and open the data design section, then click on domains. Using this domains view, we are going to add 2 coded domain values. The first one will be for our type field. I have added my 2 domains that are going to have coded domains and provided a description. Now I'm going to add the codes to these domain fields. You do this on the right side underneath code and description. I just added residential and commercial as the options for our type field. For our damage field, I'm going to add 4 options. I have added the code and description for my damage field. Now I'm going to click Save in the Domain tab. I'm done setting the domain codes so I can close out of this view. But next I need to tell the attribute table that I want it to use those coded domain values. So you need to open your newly created feature class, open its attribute table, open the field view, and in the column that says domain, we are going to set our fields to follow their domain code. So for your type field, double click on this and select type. And for your damage field, double click and select damage. Make sure you click Save up in the navigation ribbon under the Fields tab. And now you've added your coded domain fields and you can close out of your fields view. The first step in the skill builder is to use the Go to XY tool that is found in the Map tab in the Navigate group. It's this Go to XY tool. We're going to use this to navigate to the proper location in Florida. So you see when I clicked on the Go to XY tool, it pulled up a very small dialog box down here in the bottom of my map. It might pull it up in a different location on your map, and as you can see, you can move it all around. So I have provided you guys with the latitude and longitude that you need to find the correct location. It is in the Skill Builder Week 8 instruction document, and it is under this Step 1. So here are our coordinates, and I can't copy both of them. I need to copy the first one. And I'm going to input it, I'm pretty sure this is backwards, but I'm going to input it into the longitude. And then I'm going to take this second one. Make sure you take the minus sign as well, otherwise it will take you to the wrong place. So copy that full number, input it in latitude, And we are using coordinates, latitude, longitude coordinates that are in decimal degrees. So make sure that it says DD here in this drop-down menu. And now you can click enter. And I'm going to I zoomed out too far. So now I'm going to flash where it put these coordinates, and you can see it is not correct. It took us to Antarctica. So that means that I had my latitude and longitude switched. So I'm going to fix that. And I knew that I was doing it backwards, but I just wanted to show you guys what would happen if you input it backwards and you're taken to a weird location. Or if you input the latitude and longitude in there and you're taken to a weird location, you know that either you input them backwards or maybe you forgot a negative sign in front of the longitude value. So I clicked enter and you can see that it flashed the location, but it is not panning me to the proper location. To solve this problem, it's a bit confusing, but what I'm going to do is just zoom in to maybe like the city level anywhere on the map. So now that I'm zoomed in pretty far, on this go to XY tool, I'm going to go over here to the pan button, which is this hand, and click pan to location. And now you see it has panned me to the correct location. You can click on this, it will add a little pin of where the correct location is, and that's how you use the Go to XY tool. One other thing about the tool is there's not a button here in the dialog box to exit out of it. To get rid of this, you just have to click again on the Go to XY tool button in the navigation ribbon. So there you go. You should be Now that you have navigated to the correct latitude and longitude, we are going to add the layer that we will use to digitize. The last time I did this assignment, we used the imagery base map layer to digitize, but the base map layer has been the imagery for this base map layer has been updated since 2022. So we are going to use what's called a way back world imagery layer. In order to do this, open your catalog pane and switch from project to portal. This will connect us. As long as you're connected to the internet, this will allow us to download layers from ArcGIS Online. Click on the ArcGIS Online option. That's the cloud that doesn't have any other icon with it. And in the search bar, type World Imagery, Wayback 2022-02-24. Now we want to add the imagery and not the metadata. Add to current map. And we will see that we have that imagery added as a layer in addition to our base map. I will show you guys the difference. So this is Fort Myers, Florida on February 24th of 2022. The imagery base map now shows missing buildings. These were the buildings that were damaged during Hurricane Ian, but we want to digitize these buildings off of this historic imagery. Next, we are going to set our transparency for our layer that we will digitize. This will help you see through the geometry that you're adding so that you can digitize properly. In order to do this, click on your layer in the Contents pane, and then go to the Feature Layer tab. Next, find the Transparency option and set it to 50%. Lastly, to set up our map, we are going to add a REST service. To do this, you need to go to the Insert tab, and you need to go to the Connections tool. We are going to be adding a server, and it is a WMTS server. I have provided you with the server link in your instruction document. So just copy and paste that link into the server URL and then click OK. As long as you don't get an error, you most likely are now connected to the server and you can add layers from that REST service. To do this, go to your catalog pane and go back to the project tab. And then now we have a new option in our catalog pane, which is servers. We did not have that earlier before we connected to the REST service. Expand that server folder, expand the NOAA folder, expand again, and you are going to add the 2022-093B image. That's this one. And now you can see that we have imagery almost immediately after Hurricane Ian. This was flown 2 days after the hurricane hit. We are not going to digitize with this imagery. We are just going to use it to fill out our attribute field of damaged. So when you digitize a building, then you will turn on this layer to see if the building is still standing, or if it was demolished, meaning it's completely gone, or if it was just slightly or severely damaged. It looks very complicated. I'm going to start with just a very rectangular building to show you guys at the beginning. So you're going to open your Create Features pane, and you will see we have 2 different options of features to create. We will be creating buildings, and when you click on building, when you have this buildings selected, there's going to be all of these different options for the type of shapes that you want to create. A few of you will have circular buildings in your area, so you would use the circle to make a circular building like that. I'm going to escape out of that. You will use this square or rectangle here to create a rectangular building, so that is what I'm going to do right now. So you see I clicked on the square, and now I am in edit mode. So I'm going to choose the first 2 vertexes in the polygon square, there and there, and now I'm just going to drag it down. And I click and it is done. And now I am going to change the attributes. Well, actually first, make sure that you save. So I've created this polygon in the Edit tab under Manage Edits. I'm going to click Save. Now I want to go ahead and change the attribute data for this building. So I'm going to turn it off. Look at that imagery. So it looks like the building is still there. So I'm going to turn that imagery back off. Now to edit the attributes when you are creating features, in the Edit tab, you are going to be in the selection group and you're going to click on this attributes tool and it will pull up an attribute pane over here. So right now it has the attributes for this polygon that I just created. I'm going to fill them out. So I put my name in and then the building was still standing. So you can see the building is still there. And I've got my attributes all filled out. When you change attributes and you click enter, well, let me change this to something random. You'll see now that I've changed it, it will let me apply. And that basically saves your attribute edits. So I'm going to click apply. You might have also noticed when I kind of clicked over here to do something else, because I had not applied those attribute edits, it is asking me if I want to apply them, and I'll click apply. And so now I still have the edit tool pulled up. So if I try and click around the map, it is going to try and draw another polygon, which I accidentally just did. I'm going to click on that and delete that real quick. So in order to use the pan tool again, you can either go to your map and click on explore, or you can press C. And just press and hold C. You have to hold it, otherwise it will revert back to your edit mouse, but I hope you guys can all see this. So C, it is your pan tool. Not holding down C, it is your edit tool. So again, this is another very rectangular building. I'm going to go ahead and create. I have to pull up create again. So because I had changed this to select to delete that building that I just accidentally made, it's still on that select tool and it's not going to let me edit. So I have to again open up this create features pane and select the rectangle again. There we go. I'm going to save that geometry that I just made. Now I'm going to turn that off real quick and turn on the Hurricane Ian layer, and looks like the building is still standing. So now I'm going to turn that building layer back on, select this one, and change the attributes. And then click apply. So I want to show you guys how you can keep these things like pinned to your toolbar over here so you don't have to click up here every time. So I just accidentally closed out the attributes, but I have pinned using this little pin button here, the create features. I'm going to open up attributes and you can pin it again. Sometimes the pin can be a little confusing and you need to click on it a couple times to get it to do what you want. The joys of using Arc Pro. So now I am going to pan up, and now I'm going to show you guys how to digitize a slightly more complicated building. So you're going to go back to create features, and I am going to create a rectangle. And this doesn't have to be perfect. We're not, you know, this is a low stakes digitization, but we do want it to look nice so that, you know, our shapes aren't crazy and unpleasant looking. So I've created this rectangle around this building, but this part of the rectangle, actually there's not building there. It looks like that's their patio. So I'm going to pull up now the modify features pane. So again, it's going to be in your edit tab. In your features group, you will click on modify. And this is another thing that you can pin to the side over here so that you don't have to click up here all the time. So I'm going to click modify features, and what I want to do with this one is reshape. And if you hover over reshape, it tells you, well, that doesn't have very much information. Let me go back. So here it should tell you to reshape an existing line or polygon feature, you draw the new shape and cross the existing feature in at least 2 places. So that is what I'm going to show you guys now. There's a couple ways you can do this. You have to make sure that you have the reshape selected. And you see I have my edit tool is live now. So I'm going to click here, and I can come down and click here and click there. And to finish it, like now I've reshaped, I've intersected this polygon in 2 locations, and there's 2 options to finish the drawing. You can go over here and click this square with the green check mark, or you can right click where your polygon is and you can select finish. So you see these lines are not quite square, so I am going to undo that and show you guys what I do to make my lines look a little bit nicer. So you can see I still have this reshape tool pulled up. So I'm going to click here, and now I have my first point, and what I'm going to do is hover over one of the lines of this rectangle. And I'm going to right click, and now I'm going to select perpendicular. And you see it creates a perfectly perpendicular line to this line that I selected. So now I can only go up or down with it. I can't make the line go out to the side. So it is going to create a right angle. And select there. So that was the first half, and now I'm going to do that one more time. This time the line is going to be parallel. And you see again, it's not allowing me to create a line other than a line that is parallel to this one that I just selected. Now I'm going to click on the edge of the polygon, and you can either right click again and click finish, or you can click this green check mark right there. Or as it just told you, you can use F2 to apply uncommitted geometry. So now I have my building polygon, and this corner here looks a little bit better. I'm going to save it. And once again, turn off the building layer, turn on the Hurricane Ian imagery layer. And as you can see, this imagery is not as high quality as the base map imagery, which is not surprising. Like, they collected it on very short notice, but I can see that that building appears to still be standing. So I'm going to turn my building layer back on, open up the attributes pane, select this layer, and add my data. Click apply. Now I'm going to digitize a slightly more complicated building. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more of me editing, and I'll try to make sure to talk about every click that I'm making so that you guys know if I'm right clicking on a line and like what I'm doing. So since this is a big building I'm about to digitize, I am going to click this little ribbon button that minimizes the ribbon just so I have a little bit more space here in my map view. So again, I'm going to pull up the create features, make sure that I have the Fort Myers building selected, and I'm going to create a polygon. I'm just going to create that there. First, I might look at this building. I think this looks like a driveway and like these two buildings are connected, but let me go and navigate on Google Maps. So this is the building I just digitized, and the new one I'm looking at is somewhere up here. Here it is. Go to Street View. So a big hotel. And yes, these two buildings, or this is one building connected. So now I'm going to go back to ArcPro. And now that I've created this base polygon to provide me with square edges, I'm going to go to Modify Features and click on Reshape. And I'm going to zoom in and then press and hold C to pan down here and add this little square on. So I'm going to click on the line that I want to start adding space off of. Then I'm going to hover over this line, and the next line I create would be perpendicular to this one. So I'm going to right click and select perpendicular. Go down to there, and I'm going to once again hover over this line, right click, and now select parallel. And then the last time, hover over this line, right click, and select perpendicular again. I'm going to intersect with that line, and now I'm done with this area, so I'm going to click finish. Now I'm going to go to this part, and we're a little off here, but again, it doesn't matter all that much. I'm not going to spend the time to add in these few extra inches on this polygon. So I am still in this Modify Features Reshape option. So I click on this corner. I want to continue this line, so I'm going to right click on it and say parallel and pull it up to the edge of the building. Right click on this line and also say parallel, and then right click on this line, also parallel. And now that I've created this section, I'm going to finish that sketch again. Finish. There we go. And once again, I am going to have the Modify Features Reshape tool. Right click, select perpendicular. I'm going to be kind of lazy right here and just like digitize that little bit of parking lot area. Right click, it's going to be perpendicular. Right click, parallel. Another perpendicular. Another parallel. And now I can't see the rest of the building. So while I still have this Reshape Edit tool selected, I'm going to press and hold C, and you see it changes to the Pan button. And I'm just going to pan up so I can see the rest of this building. Although you cannot parallel or perpendicular a line that you are still editing. So You're going to have a little bit of existing lines showing in order to, like here, let me show as an example. I cannot hover over this line and select perpendicular or parallel. It won't let me do that until it is an already created feature. So we're going to be perpendicular to that one. Now we're going to go parallel, perpendicular again. A little bit of parallel. Woo, I meant to zoom in. Instead, I zoomed out. There we go. That is going to be the last line of this building. I'm going to right click and click finish. And now I have this polygon. So I'm going to go back to my edit tab and click save. So it's going to save that edit. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit, turn off this building layer, turn on the imagery layer, and yep, that building looks just fine. So now we're going to change the attributes for that. And once again, I quickly digitized this building just to show you guys what the coded domain values do. So when you have a record and you want to fill out its attribute table, you should have a drop down now for residential or commercial. So that's for our type field. And you should have a drop down menu for your damaged field. Looks like this building is still standing and was not damaged very severely. But we can't really tell. The roof looks fine, but the windows could be blown out and this house could be totaled. I'm just going to make my best guess and say slight damage. Then I'm going to save my edits and show you guys how we perform step 10, which is populating our area field. Open your attribute table, make sure that you don't have any records selected, and then our building size or our area field, you should right click on the field name and then select Calculate Geometry. We are going to calculate geometry for the building size or area field. The property is going to be area. And our area unit, because these are buildings, are going to be square US survey feet. You can select either, for your coordinate system, you can select either of the options in the drop-down menu. They both have the same coordinate system. And then click OK. And you will see that your building size field has now been populated. So this building that I just digitized is about 1,700 square feet. There's not any particular purpose for getting this building size, but I wanted to show you guys the skill of using a numeric data type for our field, as well as calculating area. So using the Calculate Geometry tool. If we had added this building size or area field as an integer rather than a float, it would not have a decimal place. It would just be rounded to the nearest whole number. That is the end of the instructions for this assignment. I hope you have fun digitizing.